Let's see. What my camera's pointed at.
Well, if I remember next time, I will bring them.
I started my week. Let's get ourselves
Peppercini. Peppers.
set up.
Oh, I'm gonna put it in for the pot. Wait, I can put my glue in there that you're gonna get for Friday. Oh, yeah. Better chance of less people. Did you ever put your name in there? I am. You want me to do it? Oh, sure. Thanks.
Look, I went back to Ace Hardware and they restocked them shelves, and I remember getting some frowns and faces when I said I bought them all last time. So I brought one in. I was like, y'all done made me feel guilty, so I'm going to go ahead and bring one in. Because I don't want to be the person who's like, you know.
I was just there this morning and didn't think to look. Dang it.
Let's see if I can get connected to Easy Wi-Fi here.
Oh, our Wi-Fi's been crap.
I thought it was for the wind.
No, we get free Wi-Fi from someone who's like absurd.
It
person
is,
to have it. So I usually
Oh, from home. Okay, okay.
It's there.
well, I may do that.
And you can design your garden in it, and it saves that. I use like $30.
Yeah, it's not gonna have a lot of Wi-Fi.
I didn't buy it, but I use it free.
Well, my husband can help set up anything you get, because that's what he does.
Oh, the online stuff?
Yeah, my husband and I, we're very much into tech, so.
We're gonna have to buy it because we can't depend on it any longer.
And I love using paper and pen.
I mean, I kind of like paper and pen myself.
Yeah. I'm trying to get in the habit of doing like a logbook of like what happens. Like I planted, I started these seeds, like I put them in the paper towel and stuff. And I'm like, I put them in here, this is when they sprouted, this one I put them in soil, this one I'm trying to
I'm
log
pretty
it
diligent
each
about
time.
that, because I.
Let's see if it remembers my,
And my sister just got me this one this year, so I'm gonna try this one.
And I can't remember if it was here or something else I went to, and they said, start logging the weather.
It was here.
Was
Because
it here when we talked about the weather? Because I was like.
Have you been doing it?
Really
I
good
have not been
idea.
doing it.
I have not, and I need to either put down, hey, we got cold this week or whatever.
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna turn the volume down on here,
I should move closer.
So yeah, my apricots are blooming.
but I want to be
We will
able,
see. Because
Okay,
you're supposed to have a drop in one this week.
yeah. My little peach trees I started from seed are getting leaves on them, so,
there we go.
yeah, so hopefully,
Well, the peaches bloom later.
Hello, hello, hello.
We've never had a
do you have any
viable.
cherry trees? I
We
want
do
to
not.
grow a cherry.
Cherries are better.
Did you plant your blueberry?
I have it in a little pot. It doesn't show any signs of life yet, but it's in a
For what, your blueberry?
The blueberry.
I have baby leaves.
Do you? I checked on it this morning. I'm like, are you gonna get leaves? I put it in like a pot.
That's the one thing about right, we go out there every day.
I go out and I talk to my plants and I pet them, because I'm weird.
Oh, the music, yeah.
I haven't started music for my plants. I don't know if they'd like my style of music, so
Oh, they.
we'll have to wait and see.
So I play chirping birds.
I have way too many birds in that.
Then you're
Then you're good.
I started thinking we have a lot of birds
There we
the other day, and I thought, I need to make sure I start putting seed out again, because they're really hanging out.
The hummingbird bird should be here like on the top.
Okay, I need to get my bird feeders out.
The 12th, that they come, so I was gonna check to see where they were at.
Let's see. All right. I think we're good. It's a very small crowd here. I appreciate you all coming, though. We do have seats set up on the table over there. They're free for the taking. So feel free to grab seats if you want any of those. Like, it's fine. That's what they're there for. And then Mary and Nicole also brought in, let's see, you brought in some
Citrus? From the valley?
citrus for
All
people.
from Mary, she brought all the stuff.
So Mary brought in a bunch of stuff. She got a bag over there, which is really great. I see a new person here.
I decided not to work today. How are you?
That's good. Not working is a wonderful thing. Over on this table, we have some cardstock that you can make a little folded name tag with. I keep them at the end of every meeting, set them back up, and that's just to make it easier for everybody to know who everybody is. We have free things over here that people bring in to share and give away. And over on this side, we have a 19-inch planter for our door prize. So you can put your name on a piece of paper and stick it in the blue bowl, and you might get the planter at the end of the meeting. And today's meeting is going to be all about just like starting your new garden. We have a lot of people who watch us online. I do everything live on Facebook. I've been posting the videos to my YouTube channel as well. Surprisingly, we've had a lot of viewers of our garden meeting on Facebook.
Cool.
So I try to make sure that when I'm talking, I'm going to be looking at the camera. I'll be looking at you guys as well. But I'm also going to look down here so I can see the comments if anybody's watching live and asks a question or comments. So can you go ahead and tell us your name just so I know who I'm talking to?
I'm Bree.
Bree? Okay, Bree, I'm Marshall. And again, feel free to make a name card if you think you might be coming back. You said you decided not to go to work today, so you're sick.
Don't turn the
You're
camera
sick.
around on her.
But we, like I said, we'll keep those as we go. Feel free to ask questions as we're going through. Jan, I know this is going to be your first year really gardening through the garden season. This is for you. So I want to make sure you ask questions. We have people here who can help answer questions if I don't know the answer. Okay, so feel free to do that. Those of you on Facebook Live, if you're watching live, feel free to type in comments. And I'll try to look over here every once in a while and we'll answer your questions as well. I did a really, I'm proud of this presentation, y'all. Y'all just have no idea. I am so proud of it. I made my husband sit and look at it because I was like, look what I did. So I hope y'all enjoy it as much as I enjoy making it. And if you see me eating a snack or taking drinks from my water bottle, I'm having a really bad diabetes day, so I'm just trying not to die in front of y'all. Look, it's a thing. Okay, so technically our growing season here starts May the 9th. Most people that live on the mountains, we've talked about this before, really don't put anything in the ground until Mother's Day weekend. I know that since I've been here for the past 4 years, we've not had a real winter, apparently, according to the locals. So I even think this has been a very mild winter this year. I mean, I've worn shorts already, so clearly it's been a mild winter. Be very careful about putting things in. I so want to plant a whole garden right now because it's been nice, but we're going to have cold weather again in a couple of days. Anything you put out is going to die. So be very patient with what you're doing out here. I'm assuming most of us are starting seeds indoors or in our greenhouses or whatever because we're trying to lengthen our growing season. So make sure you're starting stuff. I'm still learning how to grow in my greenhouse. I get excited every time I have a sprout. I don't know how well it's going to work in a greenhouse or what I'm going to leave in there and what I'm going to take out, but make sure you're starting your seeds indoor now. We only get 150 days to our growing season, and if you look on the backs of lots of those seed packs over there and other seed packs you buy, there's a lot of the vegetables that are very popular that are 120 days. So the sooner you can start them and get them growing and strong, the longer you have to harvest stuff. People who grow solely in a greenhouse. I'm not a professional at it yet. Again, it's my first year. anybody with a greenhouse in here, do we still have to acclimate our plants to outside if we take our seedlings from the greenhouse? Even if we have windows open so there's breezes and stuff, do you still have to do the hardening off like you do if you start them in your house?
Probably not as long, it has been my experience.
Okay.
I usually take at least a couple of weeks, but if it's been in the greenhouse and I really truly have had all the windows and doors and everything open, I still do it for at least a week.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking that is because, again, I don't know, this is my first year with a greenhouse, but I know that my my kale that I put out for my greenhouse is doing fine. They didn't die back, they didn't wilt or anything. They're doing great. They're in containers outside with like one of those white cloths, frost cloths or whatever you call it, I don't know. They're doing great. My Swiss chard died. Now I seeded as well when I put things out there because I was like, if it dies, it'll just grow back. It'll be fine. So, because what you don't know is I'm a chaos gardener. Whatever works, works, and whatever doesn't work, okay, I'll try something else. I did look up and do some research on things for starting indoors in March and for planting outside in March. I did plant peas and carrots outside. I direct sowed those. And I did direct sow some more onions outside from seed. But this is just a list that I found in my different journals and research and stuff so that if anybody has anything that they want to start, it's time to start your stuff for your spring, summer crops. Again, we have a short growing season. You want to give them as much of an opportunity as possible. I may be overdoing it with the tomato plants I started. May have a little too much. I have not started celery because celery was my boom crop last year. So I have not even thrown one seed in yet. I did start kale, bok choy, like all of my things outside that I can do as a cool weather crop as well. But the peas, I haven't seen anything come up yet. So anyways, that was just one of those lists we had. Today I'm going to talk about the 3 different ways that I know of that people garden, and that's in the ground, containers and raised beds, and a greenhouse. I will be doing all 3 at some point this year. Carl's not here. Carl's our corn guy. He's my corn guy. He's my pusher. And I'm going to plant my corn directly in the ground. I'm not going to do those in any raised beds or anything. I just figure if it works for him, it's probably going to work for me. I'm going to give it a shot. So I'm going to be doing all 3 this year. Greenhouse, still iffy. Like, should I keep my blueberries in the greenhouse or should I keep them outside? Because they're supposed to have like cold days, right?
I'm not the blueberry person.
I'm not a blueberry person either, but they have to have cold days, right? So I'm thinking I might go ahead and move my blueberries outside, but not my strawberries. But I'm also scared too because my blueberries are starting to put out baby leaves and I don't want to put them out there and then kill them because I'm defiantly growing blueberries.
My strawberries were fine in the winter.
Were they? I haven't put my strawberries outside, but I do have them all covered up in my greenhouse and I'm just watering them like I water everything else.
My strawberries are outside all the time. Yeah, there's a bed of them. And they die back and come back.
Okay.
She grows great strawberries.
I was thinking I put my strawberries, I have a tub like that with some strawberries in it. And then you know how you can get those little grow tower things, the things from Dollar Tree? I have some in one of those as well because I needed a place to put them. I'm afraid to put the tower stuff outside because it'll blow over. But I'm hoping at the end of the season I can transplant them all. I want to get like one of those blue swimming pools and just put them all outside and leave them outside forever once we get my garden area fenced in. So anyways, we're going to talk about all 3 different ways. I ramble. That's who I am. In garden growing, I always assumed it was too hard to grow in the ground here. Does anybody else grow in the ground here? I know Carl does and he's not here. Do you grow directly in ground?
Mhm.
So
But, I mean, it takes a lot of amending,
yes.
a lot of work.
Test your soil and yes, Sue.
Well, I know Carl does that, a lot of amending. And
Yeah.
he was telling me what he's doing now is, you know, the straw, hay, whatever, seed-wise, you've got to be careful of that, but manure, mushroom, whatever that is, I don't know, I never.
The mushroom
used that.
compost.
Compost. And every year he does that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he puts added vermiculite or the perlite or if he adds any kind of organic type of chemicals. I don't think he does. I think he's old school.
Yeah.
And but every year, and I know my soil, and maybe I'm wrong to assume, but I got a lot of rocky soil.
Yeah.
And it will take me years to go and dig a corn patch to get all the rocks out. But I know he's done that too, so it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is, as I'm building out my outdoor garden area that's behind my greenhouse, I'm going to start amending the corner that I'm going to allot for my corn. And it's not a big space. I'm still very much in the everything is a science experiment phase. And I have a problem investing tons of money in something that I don't know if it'll work or not. But I do think I've got a corner that I've already said that's going to be my corn corner. And I'm going to try to grow Carl's corn seeds because I think it would be really cool to do that. But it does very much test your soil, amend it, loosen the soil up, but you also, I would say the first year you do in-ground stuff, tilling soil, like tilling is what my family used to do for gardens all the time. We had the old push walk behind it thing. I think now most gardeners are like, you should have a no-till garden, but I think the first year you grow in ground, it's very important to break it all up and get out all the rocks, and it's easier to remove stuff. So if it's your first year growing in ground, I still think you should use a tiller and break it up, or get one of those big forked things that you stand on and push down and break up your soil kind of thing. Because you don't want to kill off the organisms that are in there. But honestly, we've dug in our dirt a lot. We've never found a worm or anything like that. I don't know that I would be disturbing anything if I tilled it up for the first time. Like, I don't know that there's a lot to disturb in my dirt, which may be very different from your dirt. Definitely add organic compounds. There are so many places you can get cow and horse manure out here. If you raise rabbits, you can put that directly on plants. You don't have to work it in and age it or anything. I always add the bedding from my chicken coop. Do y'all have rabbits?
Rabbits and ducks.
I want rabbits. My husband said no.
They're proved to be golden.
Right?
Yes.
Bag it and sell it.
Yep.
I use the bedding for my chicken coop. It all broke down from last year. So everybody kept telling me it's not going to work, it's not going to work. I put in the bottom like 4 inches of the totes that I grew in was bedding straight from my chicken coop and chicken run. I didn't age it. I didn't do anything with it. I figured it's going to take a while for the roots to get to it. It'll be fine. It was fine. It didn't do any damage. Am I telling you to go out and do that? No, because I don't want to be responsible for the death of your garden. But it worked for me, and I'm doing it again this year. That's how I amended what I put in my totes. But you can always get a lot of stuff. It says the recommendation is to incorporate 2 to 3 inches of organic compost to the top 6 to 8 inches of what you're growing in ground. Make sure you add, if you have really clay soil, heavy clay soil, add some perlite, vermiculite, coco-chlor, whatever you need to do to help aerate that soil and break it up a little bit, because things will not grow just in straight clay soil like I have. And out here, you either have clay soil or sandy soil. We don't really have a lot of loamy soil in the ground here. So make sure you check what you're doing. And there's lots of videos online you can watch on simple ways to check your soil. Let's see. This is how I grow mostly. I do container gardening growing. I used the cloth bags my first year here, and I couldn't keep enough moisture in them. What is suggested is, you know how you can buy those little trays you put under containers, like potted plants and stuff, is to do the same thing with those, and then it'll still hold a little moisture in the bottom. So I'm going to try that this year with some of my stuff outside and see if it works better. If you're going to grow in plastic containers, make sure the plastic container is food safe. And the way you can do that is somewhere on there is going to be the little triangle with the arrows, and it categorizes all the plastics. 2, 4, and 5 are food safe, BPA-free containers to grow in. You can also grow in like gallon milk jugs that you cut the top off. You can grow in any of those types of things because they're food safe. In Georgia, we used to go, when I was in school, I used to go to the local Kroger's and Publix bakeries because they get their frostings in huge containers that are food grade safe, and they would donate them so that we could use them. I would assume Safeway has the same kind of stuff, but you know, Safeway and Walmart are the only stores we have, so I don't know if they're already giving their stuff to somebody.
Someone told me recently that Burger King will give you their 5-gallon buckets if that's something you want to use.
Yeah.
Like their pickles or something, and they're food safe. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have anything nasty in it. But
And you can also, from the sub sandwich place, the Firehouse Subs, their pickle buckets that you can buy, the money goes to support local fire departments and things like that. And they're cheaper, usually cheaper than Home Depot buckets. I don't know if they're full 5-gallon buckets or if they're 4-gallon buckets, but you can grow a lot in those as well. I'm going to do all of my pepper plants in 5-gallon buckets this year so that I can separate my hot plants from my mild plants from my sweet plants because I don't want them cross-pollinating. My goal is to have my husband build me one of those racks that you could see online where they have like the buckets and then they have a higher level. He's working really hard for my greenhouse, so I think I might be able to get him to do it. But he's not a fan of, like, he doesn't work in the garden. He doesn't do any farm stuff. But that's my plan. And if you grow in terracotta pots, if they're not glazed, they tend to dry out quicker in our windy season and in our hot months. So if you're going to grow in terracotta pots outside, you might want to make sure they're glazed, or you really have to pay attention to watering them because they dry out. The cloth grow bags, one of the benefits of using them and why I thought they were, like, I bought so many. I have a closet full of cloth grow bags because I just thought that was going to be the way to go. And then I failed at it. But they help the roots. They become like air bound instead of getting root bound and wrapping around. They like prune themselves, air prune themselves when they touch the side of the bag. So you don't get the same problem with the roots choking out themselves. And also, if you're going to grow in containers, pay attention to the sizes of containers. For instance, blueberries, it's suggested 15 to 20 gallon tubs. Mine are currently in the tub, in that exact tub, which is not 15 to 20 gallons. So next year, I'm going to have to repot them if I want them to continue to grow year to year. You can grow tomato plants and pepper plants in 5-gallon buckets. If you have micro tomato plants, like I have some that are micro tomato plants, I can grow them in like little bitty house plant, like terracotta pots, because they don't ever get that big. If you're growing like single heads of like lettuce or whatever, you could probably get away with 1 or 2 gallon pots for those. But I tend to grow my lettuce. I just spread them out and do cut and come agains is how I do it. But pay attention because it'll tell you, it's very easy to find how big of a container you need for what you want to grow in. Those little black tubs are what I grow in. Greenhouse gardens, again, my first year, not that good at it yet, but I'm trying. Climate control and ventilation seems to be one of the biggest, most important things, controlling the humidity level, controlling the airflow and the temperature. I am currently trying to keep my greenhouse below 100 degrees. I'm not really panicking if it gets into the 90s, but I'm trying to keep it below 100 degrees because I just feel like that would be too much for some plants. We have ours powered with solar power. We got that hooked up last week. It's working great. I have a fan in there that's hooked to a thermostat. It automatically turns on and runs. So that's how I do it. And we also put screen over our windows. It has a window you can open, but I didn't want to just open it up because my wild pet birds are fierce. And they just climb right in, even if I'm in there, and they're like, excuse me, can I go eat that real quick? They don't even care that I'm there. So my husband put a screen up this week. He just did it a couple of days ago. And he did it much nicer than I would have because he's an overachiever. But it works great. I go out every morning, I open up the window, tie it back because our wind is something fierce and I don't want it breaking my window hinge. So I tie it back so the wind can't blow it too hard in either direction. And my greenhouse has pretty much been running itself since we got all that stuff set up. I even put, you know those screens with the magnets that you can walk through and it just closes behind you? Put one of those in the door and we put a little bar thing on the door so we can like stake it to the ground outside. So I can leave, yeah. The wind's too hard for the magnets. On windy days, the wind will just blow it open on its own. And my whole point for it wasn't really to keep bugs out. It was more just to keep those birds out because my wild pet birds are harsh. They don't care. They land on my dog, and my dog doesn't care. Like, they are just part of the family now. They live in under my husband's truck. Like, they live in his wheel bed of the truck. And they come out and greet me every morning. They sit with me on the front porch. They don't care. But they do destroy my garden. So I'm trying the netting.
Yeah, in our greenhouse, we replaced 3 of the screen windows with hardware cloth so that we could get bees in there and bigger insects in there rather than having just a regular screen in there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because having a regular screen keeps pollinators out of your greenhouse. I understand about the birds, though. I think you're talking about the mountain bluebirds that are just.
Look, I don't know what they are. I took a picture of them the other day. I'm going to name them at some point because I'm pretty sure they're going to have babies and we're just going to have a whole family. We put hardwire cloth completely underneath our greenhouse, like nothing, and it's also run up the sides so nothing can get in because if you remember last year I killed 62 rodents. I already got my 8 traps for this year. We're trying to keep them out of the greenhouse at all costs.
And that's a really good idea.
I don't really, he put window screen up over the window. My idea was to put hardwire cloth over the window so that bees and stuff could still get in. Again, he's an overachiever and he thinks it has to also look nice. I keep telling him it's just a greenhouse. He doesn't listen. I don't know how I'm going to get bees in there. But my idea for pollinating anything is going to be, I'm going to buy just those little paintbrushes you get in watercolor kits, just the little cheap paintbrushes. And I'm going to stick them in the growing container for whatever I'm pollinating so I don't cross-pollinate anything. Like, it'll just be sitting in whatever thing so I can go in and paint my flowers every day. Watering is important in a greenhouse. I keep a bucket of water just sitting in the floor. Because I'm not overly concerned about the humidity. Like, I don't want it to be too high, but I also don't want it to be too dry in there. And it just makes it convenient because I can just dip my little bitty watering can in there to water anything. I will probably have some type of automated watering system in there at some point, just because I'm a lazy gardener and I don't want to have to sit there and poke my finger in every pot every day. I just want to put it on a timer and let it happen. But it does say that you need to be really careful about water. It also says if you have too much water, it could invite like mold and mildew and different types of fungus and stuff in there. I have yet to see how a fungus could survive out here. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's so dry out here. I don't understand how anything like that could happen. But I've also seen the humidity in my greenhouse. It goes up at night and goes down during the day. And at night, the humidity has gotten up into the 70s. Probably because I keep that bucket of water in there. Lighting and positioning for your greenhouse is important. My tall side of my greenhouse faces directly south. And I wanted that because my goal is to grow in the winter as well. And so I wanted to make sure one side of it lets in the most sun it can in the winter. I will use shade cloth because everything gets sun scalded up here. So if you're growing in a greenhouse, you still need to think about those types of things like shade for me, it's probably going to be mid-June to August in there. And I'll just monitor the temperature so that I can make sure I get it up whenever it starts getting too hard to control the temperature. Somebody, can't remember who it was, somebody last year said they installed a mister in their greenhouse. Kathy. I think that would be cool. I don't know if I will do that, but I think that would be kind of a neat thing to do. Also, it'd be just cool to sit in the mister in the summer when you want to be out of the house.
She has it on timer.
Yeah. I think it would be neat because I do think one of the reasons my tomatoes didn't do so well is humidity. I really do think plants need the humidity as much as anything else does. And I think the fact that they had no humidity control being outside last year, and it was so dry. So that's one of the experiments I'm trying. The other thing that's recommended for keeping a greenhouse is to make sure you keep it clean. That's the hardest thing for me to do because I'm a chaos gardener and I move things around and then I'm like, oh, I should go do this. And then I just walk out. So I've been making it a point when I first go in there to make sure everything is straightened up if I've forgotten to do it the night before. It also helps with pest management as far as keeping bugs and stuff out of the way. And then the other thing that's important up here is structural integrity because our windy season, like we've had winds, but we haven't had winds yet this year. And so when we were picking our greenhouse, we went with you can buy them through Home Depot or Sam's or whatever, but we got it direct from the manufacturer. It's Backyard Discovery, and they're cedar. And then my husband used the anchors that came with the kit, and then about 6 other pieces of the little iron, I can't find the word, but the little pieces of iron. He just crammed it down in the ground. Like, my thing is not going to move.
Like a rebar.
Rebar, that's the word. My brain wasn't finding it today. So mine is very well anchored and weighed down. It's not going to go anywhere. The first year we were up here, I was so eager to start that we got a greenhouse kit from Harbor Freight. I put it up the first night. We used the anchors and stuff, put it up. It was blown to shreds overnight, and I was climbing through cow pastures picking up all the pieces to put it back together. And then my husband went ham trying to anchor that thing to the ground so it wouldn't move. So be mindful if you ever want to like buy a greenhouse kit, be mindful that it's going to be able to handle our wind and snow load, because in the winter there's a snow load you got to concern yourself with. David's not here this time, but he built his own greenhouse and he used cinder blocks as his base wall and stuff. I can't wait. I want to go see his greenhouse because his greenhouse looks cool in all the Facebook photos that are online. I do think a greenhouse is going to be a cool thing for me, though. I like the idea of being able to grow food year-round. Locations, very, very important when you're planting your garden, whether it's a greenhouse, containers, or whatever. You want to pay attention to sunlight, wind, water, pests, and convenience. Convenience is an important thing too. Most plants will require 6 to 8 hours of sunlight to grow in our climate, and at our elevation, you also have to be aware of too much direct sunlight. Our windy season runs from March to May, but we can be graced with high winds anytime the mountains decide. Doesn't really care about season. How far is your garden area from water? That's actually an important thing. And if you pay to have water delivered, you also want to think about the size of your garden, how much it's going to cost you extra to pay for water to bring out. You have to pay attention to the things that want to destroy your garden up here: the birds, the rabbits, the cows, the antelope, the deer, the elk, my personal favorite, the mouse. So you want to pay attention to that as you're doing things. I mean, like if you know that there's a specific area on your property where all of the pack rats live, that's probably not where you want to put your garden. If you know that you have rabbits or jackrabbits, like we have the cute little cottontail ones, I'm not going to throw mine over there where I know they have their burrows. So you have to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Location's more important than you think, because a garden does require regular visits to it. If you're not able to walk, I have 10 acres. If I'm not able to walk all the way down to that bottom corner, my garden's going to suffer for it. So, and for me, I have health issues that require me to have my stuff within reason. So my garden is probably about 200 feet from my house. It's right on the other side of my garage. So you want to pay attention to those things when you start picking your locations. For sunlight, plant your taller things to the north, shorter things as you come, towards the south or whatever, unless you're going to plant specifically for that taller thing to create shade. I'm going to use my peas when they go up to be part of my shade for my other plants to help protect them. And it's also going to help with wind protection, because I'm going to have a wall of all of my viney things. So think about that as you're putting things out. You also want to look at the shade from your house, the shade from your garage, a greenhouse or whatever, anything that's next to it that could create shade. Because the other thing that shade does up here is lower the temperature by about 15 degrees. So if you have like heat-loving plants like peppers and stuff, you don't want them shaded for half the day, because not only is it going to keep them from getting full sunlight, it's going to cool the area around where they're at. Now, for things that are not as heat tolerant, shade's important because it will help protect them, because it's creating that lower temperature. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to all of the things out there. A south-facing garden gets the most sun exposure. They're great for planting summer annuals like tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers. North-facing gardens are good for your salad greens because they're going to have a little less light. East-facing gardens get soaked in morning light but avoid bright direct sunlight in the afternoon. So it's good for flowers and vegetables that like a little bit of sun but are sensitive to getting scorched. It says roses are great in an east-facing area. West-facing gardens are a bit dimmer in the morning, but they get lots of direct sun from noon on. So it said things like squash, melons, tubers like sweet potatoes and onions are perfectly suited for growing in afternoon sunshine. So pay attention to your sunlight areas. When I was in school and we were doing school gardens, I had the kids go out for like a month and just track where the shade is in our garden area for a month when school started, so that they learned that as time went on, the shade grew, because it was in August, so we were coming towards winter. The shade grew further and further. And so you just kind of want to make sure you check that. I did that with my garden for this year to make sure that I was going to get enough sunlight. Up here, wind is horrible. You want to make sure that when you're growing and planting your garden, that you pay attention to which direction the wind usually comes from. For me, it's south, southwest, mostly southwest. So I put my garden in a position to where like my garage, my chicken coop, my chicken run is all on that western side. My greenhouse is on the southern side. So it's going to give it a little bit of protection. But I'm still going to be putting up things to help protect from the wind, especially when you first put your plants out. Like the season that we put our plants out is still in our windy season. Last year, I also bought long bamboo grill stakes like you would do for shish kebabs. And I literally put four, one on like surrounded the stalks of my plants to help give them that support and hold them upright. Because if you don't, your plants will just blow over and break. So you want to make sure you do stuff like that. People use their water walls that they put up to be able to put their plants out early. They keep them up to help protect from the wind. My husband literally put a T-post in the ground and screwed polycarbonate to it to create a wind block last year, which worked well. But I can tell you, if you take the polycarbonate down and just sit it up somewhere and it gets a windy day and you forget, we were picking up pieces off the neighbor's property because not only did it blow away, but it blew and tumbled and broke into pieces. So you have to be careful about stuff like that. Sometimes shade cloth is used also to help protect from the wind because we need to have shade cloth as well. So you just want to make sure you have something put up. Unless you're going to do a solid wall like the polycarbonate or something, try to make sure it's permeable. A little bit of wind is not a bad thing. I don't know if, like in Georgia, we have a lot of tennis courts outside of the parks. And around the tennis courts, they put up this green netting that has holes cut in it, little flappy holes, so that the wind doesn't tear up the actual material. Stuff like that's good for protecting from the wind. Mulch helps to protect your stems of your plants from the wind as well, because it helps give a little bit of strength right around the base. So you want to do stuff like that. You can also, a lot of people up here I've seen use wooden pallets to create little barriers around their garden areas, and the wooden pallets will help to protect from the wind as well. Do any of y'all have other ideas for wind protection? Because it's going to be a big thing.
I use the shade cloth or something like it, like you were saying at the tennis courts, except it doesn't have the holes in it. It looks just like shade cloth, but it is a windbreak, and we just bought one that goes around the big outdoor garden on that southwest side, and it helped tremendously.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the way I've set up and designed my garden area, it will be mostly protected. But we are going to be prepared to put something up. Now that the little garden cover sheets, it's white, what I have, and it looks kind of like interfacing from sewing. It's really what it looks like if you look at it up close. I ordered a package from Amazon of that so that I could cover up my little totes and stuff. It was a very large sheet. Like, I was not aware what I was ordering was that big. So if worse comes to worse, I have plenty of it that I can staple up onto a side to also add a little protection. One of the other things I'm going to do, and I think I mentioned it last meeting, my husband drinks water from water bottles. He won't drink from the tap, or from our reverse osmosis machine. I don't know why, but he just has a thing. And I don't like the fact that we're putting all that plastic in the trash. So I'm actually going to use the water bottles. I'm going to reuse them and create wall barriers for my totes just to see if it'll work. I know it'll work to help shield from the wind. They're clear bottles, so sunlight can still get in. What I don't know is if I can affix them in a way that they don't just blow away, because the wind is mean. Watering up here is a big deal. Most people either pay to have water delivered, use rainwater catchment, or they dig a well, which is expensive up here. We did get our well dug this past year. But that was something that I had to take into consideration in previous years because we paid to have water brought out. I am going to try to do rainwater harvesting off the top of the garage and the greenhouse. We just don't have it set up yet. But you want to make sure that when you're planting your garden, you pay attention to the water thing. Are you going to have to physically haul your water back and forth? If so, you don't want it too far from your water source because you're hauling water back and forth. If you're doing rainwater catchment, have a backup plan in case we don't get any rain. I've been told our monsoon seasons haven't been real monsoon seasons the past few years. So you don't want to just count directly on that and that alone. So make sure you have a plan when you're planning out your garden location and how big your garden's going to be to make sure you can water it. Mulch heavily and it will help hold the water in. If you have paths between garden beds, if you do gravel or pavers in between those areas, the water will run off towards your garden beds and can help with water retention that way. Berms and swells, I've not personally done, but I do think they're a really good way for in-ground gardens if you'll, pile things up in the middle and leave rows for water to pool in when we do have rain and things.
We do that even in our raised garden.
Yeah. So things like that are really important when you're thinking about planting your garden and how you're going to take care of it. Because all plants need sun, water, soil, and air. And without that water, they're going to wilt pretty quick. I water early morning. That's just my preference. But you shouldn't be watering in the middle of the day because most of that water is going to evaporate unless you have it like literally set to drip right at the roots. You want to make sure that you channel your rainwater. If you have an area on your property and you know how the water flows on it, that's how I'm going to decide where to put my fruit trees when I plant my fruit trees this year. Because I know that we have a trail that water follows coming down through. So I'm going to plant on either side of that area. And that way when we do have rain, it's going to catch there. And then I'm going to use berms and swells and try to pile up dirt around it so that that water kind of catches and has time to soak in around my trees. So you want to pay attention to stuff like that. In your garden area, try to get rid of weeds and stuff so that they're not soaking up that water as well, because it's a high commodity, to have that water there. My favorite thing to talk about.
Blueberry?
Pests, where to start? Blueberries would be my favorite thing to talk about when I get to pick my first blueberry. Y'all, when I pick my first blueberry, I am going to be so hard to be around because I'm going to be so proud of that one blueberry. And God help us all if I get a sandwich-sized tomato. I am going to be useless. Pests. Look, birds are a thing. You can get bird netting, which is really easy. Just be prepared for the fact that you're probably going to at least kill one bird in bird netting. So if you're really tenderhearted like me, just be prepared to mourn that. It's going to happen at least once. If it happens to my wild pet birds, it's going to be devastating for me, especially if I give them names. So, but they are fierce out here, and it's no fault to them. Everything out here is trying to survive. I respect anything that can live a year out here on its own because this is not an easy place to be. For me, the biggest problems are the mice and the rats. And like I said, I'm prepared to start my kill count. We'll probably start next week because them traps are going out. You really do have to pay attention to it and either plant enough that you can sacrifice something to them or build your defenses up. Like I said, my greenhouse is all hardwire cloth. Nothing's getting in there. If it gets in there, it deserves to eat whatever it wants. If you can figure it out, knock yourself out. My outside garden will have hardwire cloth for the bottom 3 feet, chicken wire for the rest of the way up the sides, and it will be up high enough to where I can walk in it. and it'll have a cover over it. I'm thinking instead of the green bird netting, because birds do get trapped in that, I know they make plastic garden fencing that's like the little squares, and it's usually orange or black is what I see it in stores. I may cover with that because I think it'd be harder for the birds to get trapped in it because it's not a thread. So I may do that. But you've got to be prepared for that. I use wood snap traps for my mice and rats. I know people out here do buckets with water and things with those kind of setups, either make them themselves or order them. I don't want to dump out buckets full of drowned rats. I barely like to flick them out. I barely like to flick them out of the snap traps. But like if I looked in there and there was one swimming, I'd want to save it. And I don't need to save any mice. I have plenty. And yes, the crows and ravens love it.
They do love it.
I don't use poisons, and I won't let my husband use poisons because come garden season, the ravens are on my power line right behind my house waiting, like, excuse me, lady, can you go check for our breakfast now? We're ready.
Exactly.
And if you dump them all in one location, they'll know to go there and take care of it.
Oh, yeah. They wait at that spot.
I haven't had deer or antelope come up on my property yet, but I know they exist. So you also want to be prepared for that. That's why my fencing will actually be, the total will probably be 6 feet tall. And I will have a top over it so that nothing can get in. If your property's not fenced in, cows are going to come eat everything, and they will eat it all in a day. Like everything out here will kill your crop in a day. It doesn't like slowly creep up. You can also, last year I built cages. This is not my garden, but I built cages around my garden last year. That was all hardwire cloth all the way around. Now, the mice still got in under the bottom because I literally built it with PVC pipe and just had the PVC pipe sitting on the ground. It was not the most secure, but it did help. It kept all the rabbits out for sure. And the only thing that got in was the 62 mice and probably some that got away and one bird. I ended up catching one bird in a snap trap, and I cried all day. Because that was the saddest thing to me. It was a beautiful bird, too. It wasn't like just a generic brown, ugly bird or anything. It was pretty. It had pretty colors, and I was so sad. But that's what you get if you get my garden. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, we also, another thing that you can use that's non-lethal is anything that's peppermint oils, scented. They make tablets you can just shake around. My husband orders peppermint oil in large quantities because he thinks the battle against mice is serious. He sprays every other day, everything on our property. But it does work. I've never seen a mouse in my house. My dog has never killed one. Like, they're not in our garage, nothing. So you can use peppermint oil as well. I know a lot of people, when they start out, the mice that would get in my garden, they wouldn't get anything once it was well established. It was like really just after the baby stuff. The Dollar Tree has those wire trash cans that you can literally put over your plants just until they get really good and established. I know that's a popular way to do things as well. It also helps to keep plants, once they're established, from blowing all the way over in our wind until they get bigger too. So I haven't done that particular thing, but I know that that's a thing that people do.
I do it with every plant I put in, every seed I put in.
You have those little trash
I
can
have
things?
stacks and stacks and stacks.
I have case.
I ordered them by the case through Dollar Tree, and they
Yep.
work fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very popular thing that people do.
If the wind doesn't blow them over, they're still, the air will go through them. But when the wind gets really booking, if they're not, I even
Stake
have
down.
stakes to keep them in the ground. I go nutso over it.
That's
I'm
pretty
sorry,
cool.
What do those look like? I don't understand.
They look almost exactly like that, just a flat, they're a little waste basket.
Here, I will Google it for you.
About that
I'm
tall.
concerned about that because don't the bottoms, aren't they solid so it prevents light? or
No.
whatever?
No.
Or am I thinking
Oh, no, they're all
of
wire.
front?
The
No.
bottoms are wire also, yeah. The ones I get from Dollar Tree are. Yeah.
I also,
Does our dollar store have things like that?
Yes.
They'll run out here pretty quickly because a lot of people.
Yeah, as soon as garden stuff comes out, it's insane. So they look kind of like these things right here. And they usually have them in like blacks and purple and pink and whatever. These are from Walmart, but, oh, it didn't come up there.
No.
Let me see if I can get it to come up. They look like that. And they're wire on the bottom as well.
now
They
I
look
use,
exactly like that.
I
Yeah,
use
they're-
those for in-bed compost bins too. So
Oh, yeah.
if you put them in your raised beds, and then you can put your chicken or your kitchen scraps in there, and some shredded cardboard, and throw some worms in there, and you'll have worm castings like crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I have them all through my.
I know that at the extension office in St. John's, in their garden that they have out there, they have things like that. I think they just have like a 5-gallon bucket that they cut the bottom half off of, and they keep the lid on it, and they just go out and throw their lunch trash in there or whatever.
Those are better because the worms can go in and out.
They go
real
in and
easily.
out so easy.
Yeah.
Because I thought about doing the buckets too, but these are $1.25.
Where is it?
I mean,
And so you just turn them over and put them over your little starts or
Mhm.
Yeah, and I took some heavy gauge wire and made just little stakes. Usually you don't need them if you can kind of bury it in the soil a little bit. Yeah, if I direct sow for sure, like all my squash plants, I direct sow and all that, and I just put it right over it, and you can water through it. Gets the sun, keeps the birds from eating the seeds, it keeps the mice from eating the plant, and they're tall enough that you can get the plant at least 6-8 inches tall before you have to take it off.
Can't you use tent stakes to secure them?
Yeah, and now if you're growing in like a raised bed or in my containers or whatever, my soil is really soft and stuff. So sometimes when I try to stake things down, the wind can still blow the stakes out of the ground. But if you get the longer stakes, it would probably work really well. And if you're growing in ground, it would probably, staking them would work. I know some people will put a rock on top of it because it has a flat top, and it doesn't block all the sun off, but it'll help weight it down as well. And if you're like me, you have plenty of rocks on your property. This is something I'm really working on this year is zones, like the permaculture zones around your house and your garden. Again, I have health issues. At some point, mobility will be a problem for me. It's that ticking time bomb. So we think in zones when we use our property, and we have 10 acres. We have more property than we wanted to have when we got out here. We weren't even looking for 10 acres. We were looking for something that was more like 3 to 5 acres or whatever. We figured that's manageable. I forget sometimes that part of our property is our property. I'll look out a window and be like, oh my God, yeah, we own that too. So we have to, but I really pay attention and make sure I'm physically able to get to everything. So think of your property and where you're going to put things as zones. And zone 1 is like things you're going to have to visit every single day. It's where I keep my animals. I consider my zone 1, which is like for me about 200 feet radius of my house or whatever. Our garage is in that area because we're going to go to the cars or whatever, like, try to put things close by. My chickens are in that area because I go see my chickens every day. I have a rooster that's killing me right now. It won't leave the coop. It just won't leave the coop. There's nothing wrong with it. I've taken it out. I've looked it all over. It's just being lazy. It's forgotten to be a rooster. So I have to go every day, kick my rooster out of the coop, check for eggs or whatever. So all of that's in my zone 1. Zone 2 is a little bit further out. Those are things that you're probably going to want to check on, like, once or twice a week maybe or whatever. That's kind of like where my garden greenhouse area is. It's just outside of my chickens. I water like every other day. I do deep watering. And once things get established outside, they'll probably only get watered like twice a week, really deep. When I get ready to do my trees, they're going to probably be a zone 3 kind of area. You don't really have to check on them a lot once you get them good and established. They'll be a little further out, but I try to keep everything within distance for me to walk, and I make sure I have safe walking paths. Like, you want it to be convenient. If you put your stuff in an inconvenient place, at some point you're not going to feel good one day, or you're just having a lazy day and you're going to let it go. And our environment is extreme enough to where if you don't pay attention to your stuff, it's going to die. So you want to think about things when you start planning stuff out and make sure it's in a convenient location. All of my stuff for the most part is in totes. If I decide it's really inconvenient, I'll just move it somewhere else so that it's a little more convenient for me. And as I get older, my totes are going to end up on something to make them a little higher because I don't want to bend over anymore or whatever it might be. So make sure when you're planning your garden area and stuff, you're also thinking about the convenience factor. I have a chair in my greenhouse, so when I go out there, I can just sit and relax and do greenhouse stuff. I'll probably put a chair and table in my garden area so that when I'm out there, I can sit down and have a cup of coffee and relax while I'm in my garden area because it's going to be a place I want to enjoy. So you want to think about that. I also made sure my garden area is next door to my chickens. When I'm done growing for the season, I'm just going to open it up and make it another run area for my chickens. And my chickens will completely clean out all of my containers. They will take care of any bugs that might have been there. So I put all that thought into my garden when I started because I'm kind of a lazy gardener. I want my garden to take care of itself. It's within 23 feet. The greenhouse is from our water tank that our well pumps into. So I can hook a hose up to one of the, little spouts on my water tank. My garden has a water spout built into it, so I can attach to that and have water in my garden, in my greenhouse, and also use it for my garden and stuff. So I made sure everything was convenient for me. We don't have a huge garden because it's just me and my husband. I haven't perfected the art of preserving food yet. So I don't see the need to have a garden so big I can grow for year round, like this is all our food. That is not even within my scope of reality. I know that wouldn't work. But I'm growing specifically for my chickens and for myself for fresh eating. And I did plant eggplant, even though I've never had it and don't know what to do with it.
I can get you a couple of
I only seeded 2 cells in my thing for eggplant. Because for me, too, I come from Metro Atlanta area. Everything was DoorDash and Instacart. I'm learning as well how to cook as I'm doing my garden thing because I don't know how to do all that stuff. So, I did that. I planted, what was the other thing I planted? I planted artichoke. I started a couple of artichoke things. I don't know how they grow. I don't know if only one artichoke comes off of a plant or if it's like a bush, but we will see if it grows. The seeds were sold at Cal Ranch, so I assume they'll grow in this area. I don't know.
Mine just doing fine except like the winter grape.
Are they the artichokes like the green things that you
Yeah, they're like,
never had any of those, but I'm growing to.
yes, I didn't know that. And people here grow them and they do well.
Does only one artichoke come off of a plant?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's more than one.
That's cool. I also want to try, I think they're called Jerusalem artichokes, which are more of a root thing.
Oh, they're all over the place.
Yeah, I've never had those either, but I want to try those as well. I don't have any, I didn't know where to get any tubers or anything to plant. Like, I don't know anything about it. That'll be a thing once I figure it out. My broccoli's doing really good. I don't know when to move them outside from the greenhouse, but they're no longer on heating pads or anything because they sprouted up and they're doing really good. Let's see. And I believe that is the end of my wonderful presentation that I enjoyed making so much. I learned a lot from it. The first couple of meetings we had, the first meeting that we ever had this year is already leaving Facebook because they only keep it for 30 days. I am now uploading these videos as well to my YouTube channel so that I don't lose them forever. So my YouTube channel is right there. It's not a big YouTube channel. I'm not trying to do anything. It's where I vlog my gardening stuff. So that's up there. I'm assuming everybody here is on the Facebook group because I didn't send any email blasts out or anything. So I assume that's how everybody finds us. But if not, the Concho Garden Club Facebook group has over 160 people in it, and it's very active. People post in it all the time. And it's really neat to just see people's stuff as they do stuff. So I encourage everybody to do that. Does anybody have any specific topics that they think they would like to have in the next couple of meetings? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to cover straw bale gardening and containers. Have you heard of WICK? W-I-C-K?
Yes.
Wicking totes.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different ways I've seen on YouTube of how they're made, but I don't quite understand how they work.
Okay, for that, I will literally, because I'm getting ready to buy 4 more totes to expand my outdoor gardening space. So maybe next meeting, we just make one while we're here. And then I'll take it home and put it in my garden. Because that was one of the plans I had. And you're talking about the wicking totes, like where you put the post in the bottom and up the side and you water through there?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
There's different ways of doing it, and there's different kind of wicking medium. And I've looked at a lot of them, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, which is the best? Which is
All right.
the best?
We can do that.
That's also good for retaining moisture in your soil without necessarily watering the plant. You just
Water in that little
the
hole.
tube and it goes down through.
Look, once those plants take root, they will find water. Because another thing, I think we will. I think I'll make a class just for that. Because I'd also like to cover Hoyas as well, because they work under the same premise. It's just a different topic.
What is that?
It's called a Hoya. It's called a Hoya. It's O-L-L-A. And they're terracotta pots. Sometimes they're made specifically to be a Hoya, but you can use any kind of terracotta pot. If you plug the hole up in the bottom of a terracotta pot, you can soak them in water first so that they're already moist. And then you put them in your garden bed and you can fill them with water and cover them up, and it will slowly wick out water. But also, plants' roots will find the source of water, and you will find at the end of the year when you pull your pots up and stuff to store, the roots of the plants literally make a wall around it so that they can find water. Because one of my goals is to figure out how to make my garden sustainable so that if I want to go away for a week's vacation, everything won't be dead when I come back. So that would be a great way to do that, is to have a class on that kind of thing. Anybody else have any things that they would like to look at? Because if not, I'm just going to go through the Seed to Supper and my other garden journals and go to whatever the next chapter is on what to do next. Because I want things to be time relatable this year. Last year we were so rushed with the Seed to Supper thing that sometimes those things weren't quite scheduled with our actual season. So I'm trying to make sure we get there and do that right.
I was interested in the planning part of the garden as far as whether you do like intercropping or succession planting or companion planting or crop
Okay.
rotation or that kind of stuff. I won't be able to make it next time, but it was just something that popped in my head.
We can definitely do succession seeding and companion planting, because that's something I'm very interested in as well. I want
Last year.
to do a thing on, I want to research companion planting as far as what benefits each other as plants next to each other, as far as nutrient type things. But also I know there are certain things you can plant, like basils will deter pests from your tomato plants. Marigolds, everybody knows marigolds deter pests because they stink. So I want to do that. That would be a great topic. So maybe we do that. We won't probably start talking about like transplanting plants out until April to prepare for getting ready for March. So that may be a good April topic, I think. All right. Anybody else have anything that they want to? Because I'll research anything. Huh? Temperature.
Online. Somebody in Minnesota is telling me I can grow as long as I put a plastic cover on top of it. I go to Christopher's nursery and she almost bit my head off and said, absolutely not. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Even my husband had to step back.
And then go one further and big glass windows over the raised beds. I take the temperature, my soil is almost 80 degrees under there and it doesn't drop under 65. So this is such a microclimate. Who do you listen to?
That is absolutely true.
To get it outside, you only have so much indoor planting space, right?
Correct.
So the sooner I can get it out and
So are you talking about cold frames when you're talking about the glass over?
there's the cold frames you put it over, and they called it like 4 or 5 different things.
Yeah.
You literally go down a rabbit hole, and I'm not understanding how you people in Wyoming.
So
you can do
here's my thing. I watch a lot of YouTube. We don't pay for cable or anything like that. We do streaming services, and I do watch a lot of YouTube videos. And of course, I watch a lot of gardening videos like M.I. Gardener and things like that. All of those people are not here. And like you said, microclimates are a thing. So when I'm watching people in California talking about what they're planting, I know that that's like at least a month away for me. Whatever they're starting in March, I'm not starting outside until April at best. You know, because you have to watch those things. Last month in February, they were planting their leafy greens outside. I didn't start that till this month because I count my days, right? And like the people in Minnesota and Michigan and stuff, they're talking about growing stuff. That's great for you. It doesn't work here. We get high temperatures during the day, but we're still dropping below freezing at night, even though it's 70 degrees right now. You know, my dog's water bowl was frozen this morning, but it's hot. So you have to really take everything they say with a grain of salt. Watch your weather here. How long have you lived in the White Mountains?
2 years.
Okay, so I've only been here for 4 years. You've been here permanently for 6 months, right? So, and then we've got people who have been here for a while. What I did, and somebody was mentioning it earlier, one of you two, paid attention to my weather. And I've been paying attention and logging my weather since last year because it really throws me for a loop. I'm from Georgia where you can throw seeds out off the front porch. It will grow. Give it 3 weeks and you've got a forest. You can't do that here. It just does not work. There's a lady on YouTube. Their YouTube channel is Brainstorm Acres, I think. And she grows in a greenhouse and in the ground. She's from the other side of Williams, Arizona, but she's still up in elevation. It's kind of similar to us. I paid attention to her. She was my first research that I did. And I kind of tailored what I did around the schedule she was growing stuff, and that helped a lot. You really have to find like areas of northern Arizona. There's some places in Colorado and Utah that work. I don't know if you've ever heard of Rose Red Homestead. She has a YouTube channel. She's retired from, she taught in a university. She's retired now, and she started to show more gardening content as well. Her area is kind of similar, a little different. They still get real winters. I don't think we got a real winter this year. But it's still similar enough as far as the soil and the elevation that it helps. Elevation means more here than anything else, really, is what I'm learning. And so watching people like who grow in Florida, that has absolutely nothing to do with us, and we don't need to pay any attention to them. Their humidity and everything's different.
Pandora. I'm just hearing them right now.
Is she a YouTube channel?
She's got a Facebook account. She's huge.
She just started, they started a podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts at night, gardening podcasts when I go to sleep too.
And is she have YouTube? Because I don't.
Yeah.
She's a podcast. What is it called?
White Mountain Garden Talk.
White Mountain Garden Talk. I'll have to find them on a
They just
podcast.
started in the last month.
Yeah.
But we don't.
We have,
We don't use any of that stuff, like glass silver covers or the plastic boxes, anything like that.
I am still struggling to figure out the growing out. I'm still struggling to figure out growing in general. Talking here and being able to share with other people has helped a lot. It changed my schedule that I go by because my brain was still thinking Georgia's schedule. You should start your plants in January and be ready to put them out in March. We'd have a false spring like we're having right now, and I'd kill everything. So M.I. Gardner has started doing a thing where he has people from different areas of the United States in different zones. And he has a couple of people that are in zone 6A, which kind of almost relates to us. So I've been watching their what to do this month kind of things because it kind of gives me a starting point. One of the reasons I like doing this garden club is because it's helping me build my knowledge base for this area because it's very unique. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. What works for you at your property may not work for her. Probably ain't going to work for her and definitely won't work for me because of those microclimates. I don't like that Christopher's yelled at you.
I know.
I think that's unnecessary. I think that's unnecessary because I will say this, and I didn't say it out loud, I don't think, but one of my sheets, where was it? The first sentence that I ever typed for this is there's no right or wrong way to make a garden. Whatever works for you and your microclimate and the way you garden to give you the fruits and vegetables you want, that works for you. So that's your right way to do it.
The problem is finding that right way.
Yeah, it's such a niche thing. Because here's what's going to happen is I'm going to learn how to grow in these not real winters, not real monsoons. And then we're going to have a regular, real winter, real monsoon, and it's going to wipe out everything that I know how to do. And for me, luckily, I'm not dependent on a garden for my food source. My husband will go buy me food. And he prefers to buy food over me growing it. This is for me and my hobby and my retirement, and for me to try to be healthier. But, you have to really pay attention to what works for you. And I can do all the research in the world, and I can pull from as many books and magazines and whatever I find. It still may or may not be applicable to where you are in your space. I'm at 6,000, I'm almost 6,500 feet. I'm 6,490 feet above sea level. There are places here that are 5,000 feet above sea level. There are places here that are, 5,700 feet. All of those make a difference. It makes a difference in temperature. It makes a difference in the strength of the wind. It makes a difference in how much snowfall or rainfall you get. So there's no one answer for any of it. You just have to kind of try and see what works. That's why I made the YouTube channel this year. I'm vlogging it so that I can remember, because I am very chaotic. I bought journals. I write in them maybe once a week, but that's not enough to be like a real record of what's working and what's not working. But when I make a video of what I'm doing in my greenhouse or in my garden or whatever, that I'll be able to go back and look at and say, okay, this worked, this didn't work. So I'm trying to make myself make at least 2 videos a week so that I can remember what I'm doing. And I'm trying to use garden journals this year to keep a record. I did record weather for average weather stuff, but we don't have a weather station yet, because for me, the wind is my biggest enemy and mice are my biggest enemies. Everything else I can control, but I can't control those 2 things. So those are the 2 things that I fight hardest against in my garden. And the fact that I have no attention span and I forget stuff. So I wish I could give you like a list and say, this is how it works. I mean, it's just like, you know, there are people who say, don't plant expired seeds. But I know for a fact you can find a seed in a jar in the desert that's 5,000 years old, and they plant them and they grow. I'm not saying that works for every seed, but you can't grow something from a seed you don't plant. So I don't throw anything away. I also am it's hard for me to plant a bunch of seeds and then thin out, because I feel like I'm just killing something and wasting something. So I plant a seed in a cell, and then we'll replant a seed in a cell if it doesn't work, because I just have a problem. Well, I don't have anything else to do. So for me, it's just my entertainment too.
I guess it's hard to dig in to actually take out.
Oh, it just breaks my heart to have to thin something out. Now, my carrot seeds, I did just sprinkle them out because I watched some videos and they did like the gluing it to toilet paper method and the da-da-da and whatever. The ones you just spread out work the best. So that's what I did. But you'll find what works and what doesn't work. When you go to look and plant, like, I don't know if people get seed catalogs and stuff anymore. I still order them because I like looking at them. But they'll have specific seeds. Baker's Creek is great for this. They will tell you what's heat tolerant, what's drought tolerant, and there's usually varieties for everything. So the first year we moved here, I ordered all my seeds from Baker's Creek and picked specific things that were heat tolerant and drought tolerant, because I figured those would be the things that would grow best here. Now, I totally failed in all the other things plants need my first 2 years here, and my garden was a failure because I wasn't able to keep things wet enough. I didn't protect things from sun scald, and all of my plants burned up. But this year I'm hoping to have better from it. And I can bring in a list of those heat tolerant, drought tolerant varieties that I found if anybody's interested. But there's like, you know, specific strains of beans that the Navajo grew. And they've been grown here for over 3,000 years in this environment. Baker's Creek sells them. A lot of stuff that are grown in the Middle East are grown at this elevation and with drought and heat. So they will grow here. So I picked specific squashes and cucumbers and stuff like that because I figured the things that grew in Georgia that I'm used to probably wouldn't grow here. And I know in a greenhouse you control the environment to a degree to where you could probably grow anything in a greenhouse if you put the effort in. I'm too lazy to do that, and I'm not experienced enough in a greenhouse, so I'm not even going to try that. I'm growing my cucumbers that sprouted in 5 days. I'm so excited. My dragon's egg cucumbers have already sprouted. They're drought tolerant and heat tolerant. They only grow to be like this big. But I'm very excited for them, and I hope they continue to grow. I planted them last year, and they died. or the mouse ate them. I don't know. So I'm hoping I get them to grow this year. So that's all I can tell you is just pay attention to what kinds of seeds you buy. See if you can get varieties that are drought and heat tolerant. Don't let people yell at you. The worst thing that's going to happen is you have to replant something. That's the worst thing that's going to happen.
Seeds are pretty cheap too. I mean, you can.
Yeah, I try not to buy the plants from stores because they're $5 a plant or whatever, or more. Seed packets have tons of seeds in them, and they're $2 or $3 a pack. And like I said, I don't overplant my seeds and thin out. I have seeds still from when I was in Georgia in a classroom. They grow. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the expiration date says. I plant them every year. They grow. So it's just a matter of keeping them alive once I get them sprouted. That's where I struggle.
I feel like I've been most successful with getting seeds from people that have grown here longer than me. The plant seems to over time acclimate to the climate. So I've gotten really diligent about keeping all my seeds, sharing them with people that live in the area.
That is my new thing for this year. That's a goal, is to collect seeds from as much things that I plant as possible. And letting at least one fruit or more go so I can just collect seeds from them. I've done it with tomatoes for years. I've done it with okra when I was in Georgia, which I did plant okra for this year too, because I heard it grows really well here.
Yes.
But I'm good at collecting seeds from that. I've never really collected seeds from anything else. I just always went out and bought seeds. I really do. I spent my whole life taking everything for granted. And I'm trying to get to a point where I'm a little more self-sufficient and a little more responsible with what I do. Because when you retire, you become limited in your income. Everything's got its own place. So one of the things that I plan on holding classes on in here and doing the research for is specifically seed saving, because I think that's important. I am trying to sprout the Concho pepper seeds that somebody brought in last year in the hopes that they will sprout. I haven't seen any of them do anything yet, but I'm going to keep trying them. But that is a thing that's really cool and important. And if you can find local growers who do have that, like Carl happily brought in his corn seeds last year and was willing to give them to anybody that took them. The very first year that I was here, that they had a garden club meeting, a guy came in and had the big, huge white radishes. Daikon radishes. And he brought in a bunch of seeds for that because he had been growing them here. And like you said, I think they just get acclimated.
They do.
As they grow, and they evolve just like everything else evolves. So I think it would be
more resilient. They, and they just become, you can depend on them.
Yeah.
Growing,
So I think it would be great, if this garden club continues, and I'll continue it as long as there's an interest in it. If we were able to create like almost a seed vault of seeds that work here would be cool. Because then anybody who comes in as a new person would be able to have that to pull from and be successful. And I'm not a doomsday person. I'm not a, it hits the fan person, because I'm Gen X. We know how to make power with a lemon and a light bulb. We'll be fine. But I do think it's important that people learn how to grow their own food. I do think that will be a thing at some point, because I do believe economies rise and fall. So for me, that's an important thing. Next meeting, we will talk about wicking baskets and growing in hay bales and maybe other unconventional ways to grow. And so maybe that'll be our next month's meeting. And then in April, we'll definitely talk about companion planting and succession seeding. I'm not good at succession seeding. I need to get better about it, because I tend to plant stuff and then forget about it, and then I forget to succession seed.
When you say succession, do you mean like plant 1 week, plant 2 weeks later, and plant, so that you have a crop coming?
Yeah. And most of the stuff that I grow are your typical things like tomatoes, peppers, and stuff like that. They come again and come again and come again. So I don't ever really think about succession seeding. But really, I found last year I love Swiss chard. I love the taste of it. I should be succession seeding my Swiss chard so that every week I have more mature plants to pull from. So yeah, I will probably do that this week.
Not
Just plant more
here,
seeds.
because I'm still learning this area, but in every area I've lived, I've had to relearn how to, what grows and what the best situations are. But I know that succession planting with peas, or sweet peas, or pea pods, or the oriental, that works really good.
So this is my first year really growing peas. I just planted the entire radius, the entire outside of one of my totes is 2 different kinds of peas. One is a Egyptian purple pea. Sorry. And the other one's a snow pea, I think. Will they, is it going to get too hot for them at some point? So if I'm going to succession seed them, will it just waste the second plant because it's going to be too hot?
Well, not if you do it in the spring, couple of
So
weeks.
the easiest way to do that is look at your, when you should direct sow, use whatever calendar you use, and then look at the days to harvest. And see, and you gotta know your frost dates. So see if you can plant what that time frame is. It may be a week, it may be 2 weeks, it may be a month, that you can succession plant and get a harvest before that frost comes in.
Yeah.
That's all you need to look at.
It's
to get.
math.
It's-
My head's too pretty for math.
For sure. Last year, I just figured everything was gonna die, so I planted every couple of weeks, and then when my zucchini got, oh my God, I don't even know what bug was on it, but holy crap. Tear it out, and then you put the other seedling.
That was your pest control. Oh my gosh, there's a bug on it. Let me get rid of that one. That's too funny.
Oh, squash bugs.
They were squash bugs, they were so bad.
Now, we will again have probably in May, will probably be about the right time for it. We will have a whole class like we did last year on natural pest control for bugs, organic stuff, things you can mix up from around the house, things you can buy or whatever. Now, I will say this, my personal belief on things is plants don't know the difference between whether something is organic or not, or whether you make it at home or whether you bring a bottle home from a store. Plants don't care. They absorb things on a molecular level, and they're not going to absorb anything that's not what they normally eat or absorb. So I give the full spectrum. You can buy this for convenience. You can use this right here. You can mix this up at home because I'll do whatever's convenient for me at the moment because that's just how I work and think about things. So we will have a class, though, specifically probably in May for controlling bugs and what bugs are normal here. I'm still amazed people have slugs up here because it's the fucking desert. And they're wet bugs, and there's no wet anything here. And somebody was like, I had slugs. Ow, where did they come from? I swear I hadn't seen anything except those little black bugs that stick their butt in the air. That's the only thing I ever see out here besides bees.
Oh, those are monsoon beetles.
Yeah, that's the only thing, and my dog eats them. That's all I know. My dog hunts them like he's hunting rabbits.
Those kind of things might come from a start or something that you bought. Because I found, I moved up here from you, not here permanently last spring, but I have these plants that I bought and I planted them. The next thing I know, I've got all these little things that look like snails and grasshoppers, those green grasshoppers, which we never had before. before, so the only thing I can think of is they came in a pot with a plant that I bought.
We have a ton of grasshoppers. Tons of them. That's why I have a raised garden.
Yeah, well, we never had them in Yuma, in my garden in Yuma, which was another story, but until then, and they're almost impossible to get rid of.
I haven't, knock on wood, haven't had bugs in anything I've grown yet, but none of my gardens have been in the same location for more than one time. So maybe they can't find me yet. I'm about to establish a permanent outdoor garden area and a greenhouse, so I'll probably get bugs this year. I had aphids on one flower that started to grow because I tried to grow flowers in with my vegetables. I thought, oh, that's a smart thing to do. This one flower came up. I can't remember which flower it was because it never bloomed out, and I didn't label anything last year. It was such a train wreck last year. But I went in and it was covered in these little black bugs, and I instantly jerked that out of the container and gave it to my chickens. Like I didn't want to know what the bugs were.
Was it on the vegetables around it though?
Nope.
It's a trap.
Then, exactly. Then
But
you should-
I'm not experienced enough to have known that. I literally walked in, and I'm not kidding you when I say you could barely see green on the leaves for the number of black things on
I
it.
did. I want to know what it was.
I'm pretty sure it was, I can't remember what the name was. It starts with a G, and it's a really weird name. I did start some more this year, and they're the only ones that have sprouted. It's only been 5 days since I planted those seeds out. If you go to my YouTube video, it'll tell you on the video, because I made a video today and posted it. It was like, look, they bloomed.
Okay.
But I can't pronounce the name of the plant for
Because
anything.
that's the whole idea behind companion planting, right?
But whatever it is, if there's little black bugs anywhere in your garden, that's what was on it. Aphids are white. I don't think they were aphids. There's something called like some kind of flea thing. So it might have been those, because those are black. I swear to God, I didn't look at it for more than 2 seconds before that thing was in my chicken coop, because I didn't want anything to do with bugs.
So you're all saying that you should leave those in your garden?
Yeah, like Nancy was saying, there's certain trap that.
Yeah, they're trap plants.
Insects, like, they're attracted to that, so they won't go near your tomatoes, your broccoli.
Like
whatever.
nasturtium attracts aphids.
Yeah.
So if you plant nasturtium, and I have some that I'm going to plant, I will plant them in flower pots that I can put around the outside of my garden. But I'm not putting them anywhere in my totes where my food is growing, because they attract aphids, and if the aphids get on them, they're great. My question is, for anybody who's ever done it before, if I wash the aphids off the leaves, can I still eat the leaves of the nasturtium plant? Because they're supposed to be tangy like greens and stuff.
I would.
I assume you can just wash the aphids off and still eat the plant.
Yeah, aphids aren't.
The flowers are amazing in a salad.
I've never grown any, but I'm looking forward to trying it. Because,
Flowers are really pretty.
They're
Yeah.
pretty, they're flowers, and I've even seen where they do a tempura dip, the nasturtium flower and then kind of fry them.
Oh, yeah, like squash blossoms.
Yeah.
and then I'm going to have a bed that's right next to my garden, my chicken run, so they can reach through the fencing to the bed. And all I'm going to do is buy a bag of bird seed and plant whatever the seeds are in the bird seed in there. Because I figure that's all edible and safe for birds. They're birds. Because people yelled at me for giving them tomato plants last year. Supposedly they're poisonous. But
It's a nice shaped plant.
my chickens were
I
fine.
don't think they're-
It says it not to feed them, but you
Yeah,
know what?
I don't feed it to my.
If my chickens are stupid enough to eat something that's going to kill them, they didn't deserve to live.
Strong survive. The strong survive.
If you are that stupid,
Survival of the
then
fittest.
you don't need to procreate and give me eggs, because your eggs are stupid. That's the whole purpose for me to have my little dinosaurs, is to feed them things. But Anyways, for those of you who are on Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. If you watch it later, still leave a comment. I always check. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, my dude. I'm saying. But I'm going to end the live here, and I'm going to get ready to wrap things up because we've kind of gone the whole time. I've enjoyed today's meeting. I know it was a smaller group. I'm going to make sure I go grab some citrus and some starts over there. If you have not put your name in the drawing for the bucket, and you want to put your name in the drawing for the bucket, please do so while I finish all of this stuff up. Wait, let's embarrass my daughter.
Uh-oh.
Will it pick up in here? My daughter calls me every day on her way home from work. All right, it's not going to pick up in here because I don't have a strong enough phone signal.
He's like, where are you going?
I like embarrassing her, though.
And I don't want to take any of the plant starts home, so.
Oh,
please
no, I want the spider
take
plant for
them.
sure.
There's plenty there. Please.
Let me see if I can get myself all home.
We did this year, and I think we're planting my peppers, and I'm like, I don't need 25 jalapenos.
I don't think anyone wants that. Like, I don't know if I can-
Dude, I ate so many jalapeno poppers last year.
Well, I saved all of my pepper seeds, because they were the only thing that survived in the ground. I was like, okay, you're all good, but I saved it, so none of you are really gonna sprout and plant.
Everything. I know, I have all 12 of my held weeds